Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Ask an Expert session. In today's session, the main thing that we want to do is first open it up for our attendees. If you have any specific questions about our system that you would like for us to address, please definitely raise your hands or drop your questions in the question inbox, and then we will be able to address your questions. Before we get started with the topic, again, I'm just going to give our attendees an opportunity to ask any general questions. All right. So for those of you who are on the call, if I can have you raise your hands just to make sure that you're able to see my screen and that you're able to hear me. Perfect. Thank you, Corey. All right. So it looks like audio is good, the screen is good, so we're going to proceed with our session. I don't see any questions. So the topic for today, we're going to go over the PTO approval. And we want to make sure that for those of you who are new to our NovaTime system, today's session is going to give you an overview of the PTO Leave Management tool. We're going to give you an overview of the life cycle of a time off request. We're going to show you how your employees go about requesting time off, how they can modify an existing request or cancel a request. We're also going to show you how you as a manager can approve those time off requests for your employees. So that's the main objective for our session today. So, and this is our agenda. We're going to start out with the employee, then we're going to go into the supervisor dashboard. We're going to go through that gadget, show you how to use the various filters. We're going to show you the controls that you have as a user. We're going to go over the PTO status bar. We're going to address those requests. We're going to show you the difference between approving a request, declining a request, and removing a request from the system. We're going to show you the various triggers or alerts that your employees will receive once a request is approved or declined by a manager. Also, I'm going to show you how to customize the daily request count. So you're able to set up custom colors on your calendar. That way makes it easier for you to see that, hey, you know what, on Tuesday I have 2 requests. We can flag anytime that there's 2 requests with a yellow. So that's what that daily request count refers to. Then I'm going to briefly show you as a supervisor how you're able to run reports. And then we're going to log into online help for additional resources. Okay. And towards the end of our training, I do have some reference slides for you. So, all right. So let's log into the system. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you how your employees go about requesting time off. So this is the employee portal. And all your employees have this leave management gadget. And on here, the nice thing about this is if your organization has the forecast set up, they're able to see what their forecasted accrual balances are. If they don't want to see that forecast, then they can turn it off. The other thing that employees are able to see is they're able to request time. And if they have submitted a request and it's coming up for Monday and they haven't heard from their supervisor, employees are able to send a reminder to their supervisor letting him or her know that, hey, please let me know if you're able to approve my upcoming PTO or any general request that they've requested. Okay, so this is the leave management. Employees are able to see their balances. They're also able to see other requests that they have in the history table. So for example, this employee has a request for January the 14th. It says PTO. When I hover over the status, it says pending. And then I also have this other request for January the 15th, but that one says declined. So it allows the employee to see what's going on for the current period and the status of those requests that they have submitted. Okay. So this is the general overview of this gadget. Now we're going to click on request leave, and this is how your employees can request time off. The first thing that they need to do is select the appropriate template, if it's going to be PTO or vacation or sick time, or they've been summoned for jury duty, they would select the appropriate pay code. Then they need to decide, is it going to be for a specific date or is it multi-day? If it is multi-day, click on this little button here, this toggle feature here. And what happens is that now the employee has the opportunity to enter a date range. If it's multi-day, they can click on the calendar and they can say, you know, on February the 24th, I'm going to be taking time off through February the 25th. They can tell us how many hours that they're going to request. They can even add a note for their supervisor, say next. This allows the employee to validate the information. If that looks good, the employee goes ahead and submits that request. All right, and it tells you that the request has been submitted. And that's all that your employees need to do whenever they're requesting time off. And all that we did is we used this feature right here. Now, your employees also have a different view. If you click on this leave management, this view looks similar to what you have as a supervisor. On here, it allows the employees to see all those templates that were in that drop-down menu. It also allows the employee to see all the requests that they have on the books. So on here it says there's 4 pending requests. They have 1 approved item and 1 declined item. So anything that's in yellow on the calendar, those are pending. Green items will be approved and red items are declined. Okay, so this view gives the employee a full overview as to what's going on before they start scheduling time. Okay, so if they're planning on taking the 17th off, but the 17th, if they hover over that, it tells the employee that, hey, February the 17th is President's Day. And so the employee can see that, all right, I don't have to use my PTO on that day. I can use it on the following day, but that's a holiday, okay? The other thing that your employees are able to do is, so they're able to see pending requests, they're able to see their accrual buckets, and if your organization has enabled this feature here, employees can also cancel existing requests, okay? And you can set it up that as long as payroll hasn't been finalized, you can grant your employees an opportunity to cancel time. Then all they would have to do is click on this button, cancel, save it. Are you sure? Say okay. And so now that employee has canceled that specific request. The other thing that your organization can do is, let's select January the 14th. Let's say that initially your employee was going to request 8 hours, but then they had a change in their schedule or something happened and now they can only request 4 hours. The employee can change that. So you have this little arrow here, or you can type it in what the modified time is. Once you've done that, save it, and the employee has committed to that. And that's how easy it is for your employees to also modify that. Now, that's an enhanced feature and we would need to enable it. So I'm going to show you some print screens later on as to where in the system you would go about making those changes or updating your configuration. Okay. All right. Let me also show you, and you see these alerts on the far right-hand side of the screen. Those are just alerts that the supervisors, as long as we have an email on file and we have the Outlook alerts, your supervisors would get these emails via their email and also the next time they log into the system. And it's just simply telling the supervisor that, hey, we have Allison requested, here's Allison ID number and has requested time off, and it says it's 4 hours. Initially it was for 8 hours, but we changed it to 4. Okay, so that's what those alerts are. All right, so let's go back and add a request here. So in this screen, it works just the same as you saw on the main dashboard. The templates will appear. Again, maybe the employee was summoned for jury duty, and this time is going to be for the 17th. We're going to say 8 hours. We're going to say jury duty. submit the request. Are you sure? Yes. And that request has been sent to the supervisor. And when you hover over this little note, you will see that your employee has submitted a note with that request. Okay, so that's how easy it is for your employees to submit a request. As requests are being submitted, supervisors, as long as that feature is enabled, supervisors will be getting these alerts. This employee has submitted a request for jury duty. All right. Once you as a supervisor approve a time off request for your employees, they too will get a notification the next time they log into the system. And it's going to tell them, yes, your time was approved or your time was declined for a particular day. So there's a log and a status for each of these requests. Okay. All right. Any questions with what you've seen so far as the employee experience? All right, I don't see any questions in the question inbox, so we're going to proceed. All right, so now that we've seen how your employees go about requesting time off, we're going to go to the supervisor access. So we're going to toggle. I clicked on that blue silhouette and I'm going to select my team. And so now we're going to arrive here, and this one is the supervisor dashboard. And within the supervisor dashboard, today we're only going to focus on the time off request gadget. Okay, so this is the time off request gadget, and it's really important that supervisors approve or decline these requests, because these requests right here impact the current pay period that we're in. And you'll notice that for pending, there is an exclamation point on here. And the reason for that is because this particular request, it impacts the current payroll. So again, this one needs to be addressed. This gadget is also letting you know that for this pay period, you have eight pending items, you have 5 approved items and 1 declined item. So how do you go about approving these requests? We're going to click on this gadget, and what's going to happen is it's going to filter for items that impact the current payroll only. Okay, so everything that you see on here impacts the current payroll and needs to be addressed. So, however, if you happen to have a little bit of extra time and you want to see what else is going on, not just the current pay period, we can actually change our filter to all. And so now I would not only see everything that's happening in the month of January, but I would also see what's happening in the month of February. But if you're only wanting to address what's happening on the current pay period, change your filter to current, and this will allow you to see only what's happening for the period. Okay, so all right, so that's your filter option under the request page. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is the controls that we have here. In this page, you have approve all. When you say approve all, it's going to approve everything that's pending. So if that was not your intent, then stay away from that button. Okay. The other thing that you have here is reset filters. This refers to the pay code filters. If you're only wanting to address anything that has to do with, let's see, with sick time, I'm going to say sick time there, then you would only see those requests for sick time. If I only want to see standby pay, then that's how I can set up my filters for only that. If I want to reset that filter, click reset and it resets everything. That way you can see everything that's happening. Okay. The other thing that you have on here, similar to what your employees have, is the add request. You're able to add requests on behalf of your employees. So if you have an employee, and let me see, we're going to select Juliet. You know the employee's first name, but you don't know their last name. Just type their first name in. Let me try that again. That way you can see that. So I'm going to try Juliet, and it's going to tell you that there's only one employee named Juliet. I'm going to select that employee. The next thing that I'm going to do is Juliet also called in sick. So as a supervisor, again, you're adding the request on behalf of the employee. And we're going to submit the request, and we're going to say, I'm just going to grab a random day for today for this example. But let's say that she called in sick and you typed in the hours, and then you can just add a note if you want. Called in sick. The next thing that you would do is set as approved. And this is how you would add that request for Juliet. What's going to happen when you add a request and when you approve a request is 3 things will happen. The first thing is the timesheet will be updated by the number of hours. The second thing is that the accrual buckets will be decremented. And then the last thing is that the employee will be notified that that request was approved. Okay. All right. So that's your request tab controls. The next thing that we're going to address is the PTO status bar. So in this area here, it allows you to see an overview of all the requests that you have going on for the current pay period that we're in. 14 pending, we have 8, 5 approved, and we have 1 declined item. So this is your PTO status bar. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through these and we're going to approve, decline, even remove a request. Okay. So in this list here, it allows you to see that all these employees have requested time, but to see the details of the time that they're requesting, because see on here it says Leroy has requested 1 request, Tessie Taylor 2, James 2. You can't see details. However, to click on the expand all, and now you're able to see details of each of these requests. So here we have my test employee. They're requesting January the 15th. It's jury duty, and it says 4 hours. If you're okay with that request, you can say approve, save it, and it tells you you're about to commit. Are you sure? You're going to say okay. And that one has been taken care of. As you start taking care of them, the pending counter decreases and your approval counter increases. Okay. What else do I want to show you? We have Leroy here. It tells you the date, the PTO, regular hours, but this one has an available accrual bucket. So it allows you to see that Leroy has 300 hours in the books. And for January the 20th, they're only requesting 4 hours. Now, this is January the 20th. Let's actually look at this calendar on the right-hand side of the screen. Here we have this colorful calendar. And if you hover over January the 20th, it's going to give you an overview as to how many other employees are requesting that particular day. So this is going to be really important for supervisors who maybe you only have 5 employees that report to you and looks like 4 of them are requesting time off already. So you hover over this calendar, you're able to see what activity is going on for your employees, for your department, before you allow this employee to request time off. So it's really helpful for supervisors, especially when you're trying to do your scheduling. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually decline the request. And on the right-hand side, there is a note. And we can actually, on here, it tells you, oh, it's a doctor's appointment. We can ask the employee if they can reschedule, or we can say, sorry, it's a busy time of the year. So we're going to say, sorry. Yeah, so we're going to say, busy time, can you reschedule for next week or something like that. All right, we're going to say okay, and we're going to save that request. And so now the next time, if the employees are only using the time clock, the next time the clocks update and that the employee clocks in and out, he or she will not only clock in, but the system will tell the employee on the clock you have a message, and they'll be able to read that message. Not only will it say the request has been declined, but it's going to have that note with my request, can you request an alternative day to see your doctor, or whatever the reason may be, okay? All right. The next thing we have is Tessie Taylor, and these are the requests that we have for Taylor. All right, so Taylor is on jury duty and looks like on the 16th and the 17th. So here's the 16th and the 17th. If that is okay with you, you can click on change selected. Instead of changing the status one by one, you can actually click here. Hold on, let me select these first. And then we're gonna say approve all. Well, did I select the wrong person? Sorry, I did. We're going to say approve all. And so what it's going to do is it's going to approve all those items all at once instead of you having to change the status for each of these. And you can always add a note to these items. And then at the end, please make sure that you save. All right. So you'll notice that we only have 2 pending requests now. So that's how you go about approving and declining requests. I do want to highlight that there is a remove option here. Now, the only time we remove a request is when an employee said, you know what, I accidentally submitted the request. I shouldn't have submitted it. Please remove it entirely. So when you remove a request, it removes it from the history, like it never happened. But if you want to have historical records, you can just say declined, and you can add a little note, employee submitted the request in error. Up to you what you decide to do. But again, if you do the remove, it removes it from the history, and there's no history that that request was ever submitted. Okay, so that's how that works. All right. All right, now let's move over to this calendar that we're viewing right now. On the far right-hand side of the screen, we have this daily request count. So set request count colors. So by default, when you first logged into your system, you probably saw these defaulted colors. Let me change that to okay. And so as you can see, the default colors are not really helpful. But if I go here, I can actually tell the system. We're going to click on that radio button, and we're going to say, whenever there's one request in that calendar, I want it to reflect in yellow. Whenever there is 2 requests, I want it to be in this color. Let's see. Just going to randomly pick some colors. That way you can see how easy it is for you to update your colors here and how helpful it becomes. Because now you know that anytime your calendar reflects yellow boxes, you know that there's only one request on that day. That green one, you know that there's 2 requests. And if I hover over that, you can see that there's radio buttons next to each request. One is red and one is green. There are 2 requests on that day. One was approved and the other one was declined. So as a supervisor, personalize your dashboard and use these radio buttons and set up your request count colors. That way, when you're scheduling or when you're approving time, you can easily see what's going on for that particular month, okay? All right, so that's your daily request count. All right, so let me take a short pause and see if we have any questions in the question inbox. As far as if you have any questions as to what you've seen so far, please either raise your hands or submit those questions in the question inbox. All right, well, I'm not seeing any questions so far, so we're going to proceed with the next topic. Okay, I'm going to click on the dashboard. I'm not going to save that change. But now that we're in the dashboard, we're back here to the time off request status. And as you can see, we started with 8 requests. Now we're down to 2. Here's my approved items. Here's my declined items. And as I mentioned earlier, please make sure that if these impact the current pay period, always make sure to address items accordingly. All right, here's that request. Before we close out this area, we're just going to say approve all. And it's going to tell you you're about to approve everything that you see on here. Are you sure? So there's that warning. If you're okay, we're going to say okay. And your work is done. So when we go back to your dashboard, this is what we want to see. 0 pending items, okay? Okay. All right, the last thing that I wanted to show you, it lives under reports. So we're going to click on this arrow here. And I just want to point out that for you as a supervisor, there is this accrual folder. If you're wanting to get a report that will show you the accrual balances for your employees, there's a balance report, there's a history report, there's a request status report. So if you have lots of employees that report to you and you want to see a specific pay code, for example, I want to see everyone that has requested vacation, and you can set up your filters and say for the current month, you can actually run a report. All that information is available to you on the dashboard, but if you wanted to run a report in Excel, maybe you're having to create a spreadsheet or some sort of graphs, you have that information here. So click on accruals, and when you click on the accruals, you'll notice that all these reports are available to you. And this here shows a detailed description of what those reports look like, what type of information is contained within each of those reports. Okay. All right. So everyone, that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, again, raise your hands, submit them in the question inbox. Otherwise, we're going to move to the last piece of our presentation. And we're going to cover the reference slides. So earlier when we started our session, I mentioned that I would show you, just in case your organization does not currently allow your employees to cancel time off, if you would like to enable it, this is where that rule lives, under Access Advanced. And you need to go under this category here and make sure these items here are selected. Okay. Also, if your employees currently are not getting those notifications via Outlook, please make sure that first we have an email on file for your employees. And secondly, under the Access Advanced feature, make sure that you go under the email category and select these items here. This is how you can have your notifications whenever time is approved or declined. This is how your employees can also receive those alerts via email. And lastly, the scheduler. If your organization is using the scheduler, you want to have this feature right here enabled. What this does is if a time off is canceled, is deleted, you want, and your employees have specific shifts that they're assigned to, you want, if anything is deleted, that the schedules are reverted, their standard schedules are reverted back to the scheduler and their timesheets. So those are 3 items that I highlighted early, and I wanted to show everyone where they live. All right. Lastly, again, go online for our other resources. We have online help, and you can also sign up for our under our Nivitime website to access other videos, upcoming webinars. Okay. And always when you go to online help here on the right-hand side of the screen, make sure that you have the pop-up blocker enabled. Otherwise, you will not be able to access this page. So if you have any questions as to what we went over today, simply go under Chapter 5. And I went under Chapter 5 here. I selected Supervisor User Guides. And there is a whole section on leave requests. How do you approve a request? If you have the multi-level PTO approvals, there are short 1-minute, 2-minute videos for you as a reference, okay? So take advantage of online help. This is gonna be your best friend. And also, we did provide out a handout for you today. So please make sure you download that handout. It's gonna walk you through the PTO approval process. All right. So that's all I have for you, everyone. Again, thank you so much for joining our session today. We appreciate it. And we look forward to having you in our future webinars. Have a fantastic day and happy Friday, everyone.